Hi guys, it's Jeff at Slavens Racing. This video is about post-ride maintenance. So what I do every time I get back from a ride. I recently made a video on how to wash your bike, and one of the comments in there was, would you please make a video on post-ride maintenance? So here we go. Well, the first thing I do obviously is wash the bike. You can see it's already clean. I don't really have it totally buffed out. I haven't didn't do that part this time, but anyhow, it's clean, and it's definitely clean enough to be working on it. So my post-ride maintenance is pretty quick. Some of it's maintenance, and some of it is just setup changes or just other little changes that I might want to make. So in other words, as I'm riding down the trail, I'll think about how the bike's working, and I'll make some mental notes of what I want to change when I get home. All right, so on this last ride, and I've been feeling this the last several rides, I thought that the bike was just a hair out of balance. And so what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to tighten the shock spring just a half a turn. I just want to make the front end stick just slightly better. So I'm going to tighten up loosen this, turn it a half a turn. In order to do that, I'm going to have to pull the shock out, because then the adjuster is going to be on the back side where I won't be able to tighten it. But that's no big deal. On PDS shocks, it's real easy to do. Anyhow, so that's one of the things I've been thinking about lately when I was riding it. Also, I kind of make a mental note of maybe issues that I had while I was on the trail. So this last ride, this piece failed on me. So I've got a new one down there that I'm going to install. That's a warranty issue. I don't know how far out they'll warranty them, but they warranted this one for me. And what happens if that unit fails is the fan doesn't come on at all, or at the right temperature. Can do either one. So this last time I was out, the fan wasn't coming on until it got really hot and was overheating. And then it would just come on for just a little bit and then shut right back off. So it was that sensor that's failing. So I made a mental note of that. I also made a mental note to check my coolant level, since it did puke just a little bit out. You know, just a slight bit of coolant makes a hell of a lot of steam. So sometimes, people kind of overreact to that. But I can see, you probably can't see in there, but yeah, maybe you can. The fluid level is still fine in there, although it did steam on me a couple times. So I don't really even need to add any. I also had a branch that snagged my headlight and tore the strap right out of there, so I got to put a new headlight shell on. So just little things like that. And then usually when I pull over to, take a break and eat a sandwich or something on the side of the trail, I'll whip out my cell phone, and in the notes section, I'll note all these things so I remember when I get back. And so I had just a short list in my phone this time. So some of the main things I look over as far as maintenance is tires. After each ride, I give the tires a good inspection. The front one was about at the end of its life, so I already put a new one on the front there. The back one is still in great shape. This is a tire I'm testing for a German company. And definitely tires. I also fill up the gas tank after each ride. I want it ready. So if a buddy calls and said, hey, let's go for a quick ride this afternoon, I'm totally ready. I can just put on my gear and go. I also go over all the nuts and bolts. Sprocket bolts, shifter bolt, all the little bolts holding things on. The rear fender, sometimes those bolts tend to get a little loose, so I check those. Thread locker should be used on the sprocket bolts when it's first installed. If you've never had it off, the factory already has a thread locker on there, so you don't need to mess with that. I also checked this rear axle nut. right there, because if you bang on that, if you're riding rocks all day and you're going through rock sections where you're really kind of banging on your bike, rocks banging on that nut will loosen it up. I've seen it happen. I've had it happen. I carry a spare nut in my back, in my fanny pack. So I always double check that. I always double check the pipe mounts. The bolt up there, make sure the bolts, there's two of them holding on there. And I also check the pipe brackets. Just give the bike a good look over. Of course, the air filter always needs to be looked at. This one's really not too bad. I'll probably change this out. I don't clean air filters anymore. I've gotten lazy on that. I just we've got these one-use filters. They're intended to be thrown away and not be serviced. They're like, I don't know, $11 or something like that. So I just change them. Transmission oil, I do that every, I don't know, 400 or 500 miles. I don't get real anal about transmission oil. It takes a long time for it to get dirty. And this goes in right here. So I change that, like I said, every 400 or 500 miles. I also, this is a TPI model, so I take a quick look at the oil tank down here, make sure there's plenty of oil in there. And then I just kind of go over my adjustments, but most stuff like cable adjustments, clutch, brakes, those don't change much. I am really picky about brake feel. I like a really firm lever. So probably every 600 to 800 miles, I'll replace the brake fluid front and rear. That really crispens the feel, makes it firmer and gives you a stronger brake. I also look at the brake pads after each ride. Although I really don't even need to look at them, I can just tell by the feel what condition they're in. Because as they get worn down, you lose some hydraulic pressure because the pistons are farther out, and so you get a little bit softer feel. Now, as I've mentioned before in other videos, I'm hard on the front brake and front tires, so I wear out brakes 2 to 1, 2 fronts to 1 rear set. I think most guys are probably the reverse of that. And I don't let the pads go all the way down until the metal. I want really good feel. I want a really strong brake. Now, if you let them go all the way down, you've got a pretty mushy brake at that point. So these pads here, they're only about a quarter worn out, but a little bit more, and I'll be replacing them. Like I said, I want that good feel. To me, brake pads are cheap, whatever they are, $30–40. I also, after I wash it, I lube the chain. I haven't done that yet on this, but I lube it. Not so much for extending the life of the chain or the sprockets, but more for rain. You load your bike up, you have to drive somewhere 2 or 3 hours down the road. Maybe you'll drive through some rain, or maybe you're parking overnight at a motel and it rains overnight, and then you come out the next day and your chain's all rusty. So I do it mainly for that. The lubricant on O-ring chains is inside the chain, so you don't gain a lot by lubricating the outside of them, although you still should. And definitely gives them some protection from corrosion and rust. And then so basically that's about all I go through. I've got the seat off of this one. I quite often take the seat off. I just kind of want to make sure the battery connectors are still looking good, that they're tight. You can see on this one it's only got one rubber piece holding it in place, that the other 3 are not in position, and that's because I did an ECU change out on the trail. In order to get it back totally tucked in underneath the tank there, you've got to remove this bolt and then the shroud bolts and lift the tank up a little bit. I didn't want to deal with that on the trail. I was more interested in riding than have it in perfect position, so I just stuck it under there and took off. I just swapped out ECUs to do some testing. I'm always testing tires, ECUs, whatever, you know, just new products. There's not a single ride that I go on that I'm not testing something. And I do that because I like great products on my bikes, and I want to sort through the riffraff and come up with those products. I also do it for our consumers, for our customers. I want to make sure you guys have access to the best of the best. And so I do that by testing. And then I make you videos on it so you have more information from which you can make an informed decision on what you want to do. Other things to look at would be fork seals. Definitely look and make sure that your fork legs are dry. You should also look at the shock shaft seal. I quite often see guys and they've got oil on their shock shaft, and I'm thinking, you're going to be lucky if that makes it through the ride. But definitely check those seals. So basically, just all the normal maintenance stuff. Tranny oil, chain adjustment, chain lube. If your bike is older, you should check the wheel bearings. I've got a separate video on how to do that, but you basically grab at the top and then you try to move it back and forth. If there's any free play in there, the bearings need to be replaced. Now sometimes on the front one you can have free play because you don't have the axles installed correctly. I have a separate video on that, and I see that a lot. So I think that's about it, guys. All the basic maintenance checks that you probably already know about, plus anything that you want to improve on your bike for the next ride, things that were on your mind while you were riding last time. Like for me, it was the bike balance. And then any parts that might need to be replaced from crash damage. I've got to run over the shop today and get a new one of these masks to fix that. And like I mentioned previously, I'm going to change out that sensor. But that's really about it, guys. Most important part is that you get out and ride. I mean, I hear lots of lame excuses almost daily on why somebody's not riding. So nothing like throttle therapy. Get out there and put some miles on your bike, have a great time, clear your head, be a great trail ambassador while you're out there. Please be respectful and kind to other trail users. And if you would, like us on Instagram or Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Give us a shout out when you can, and throw us a bone once in a while. That's all for now, guys.